It's only actually in Capital Volume 1 that Marx deals with the question of women's and labor. No? And I think he wrote some of the most powerful pages on the exploitation of women, the exploitation of women and children. I think that in the whole Marxist, socialist, revolutionary tradition, few have so much pungency analyzed the way capitalism exploits labor, and particularly the labor of women. At the same time, one of the limits of Marx is that he concentrates on the position of women, either in the bourgeois family or in terms of their work experience. He concentrates on their place in wage work, in wage industrial work. The criticism is that he does not see the work of women in the process of reproduction as important in capitalist accumulation. That when it comes to an analysis of capitalist exploitation, right, he has a limited view of the ways in which capitalism exploits women, exploits women's labor. He does not see that the exploitation of women in capitalism, in the history of capitalism, even in the period of the Industrial Revolution, was not limited to wage industrial work, but actually, took place on a much broader arena, extending and to the whole sphere of domestic activity, those domestic activity that are crucial for the reproduction of the workforce.
Okay, so during third period, we have announcements and they do the Pledge of Allegiance. I always tell my class, stand if you feel like it, don't stand if you feel like it, say the words if you want, don't have to say the words. So my class decided to stand but not say the words. Totally fine. Except for the fact that my room does not have a flag. It used to be there, but I took it down during COVID because it made me uncomfortable. And I packed it away and I don't know where, and I haven't found it yet. But my kid today goes, hey, it's kind of weird that we just stand and then, we say it to nothing. And I'm like, oh, well, I gotta find it. Like, I'm working on it. I got you. In the meantime, I tell this kid, we do have a flag in the class that you can pledge your allegiance to. And he looks around and he goes, oh, that one?
Why do we say that? Trans liberation calls for communist revolution.
Starting with the big one. Okay, I'm gonna leap on this first, but then I promise I will take a backseat. The dominant say liberal bourgeois reframing of trans liberation as trans rights and recognitions, kind of say based in the supposedly successful pattern of say gay liberation transformed into rights and recognitions realized at the level of the state in some places, not everywhere. We make the claim that not only is this insufficient, but that pouring our energy into this thing is actually not going to get us what we want or what we need. This kind of economic transformation that would be a kind of communist horizon, right? A world in which everyone has what they need. So why does this immediately matter to trans people? Well, what do trans people in our particularity have to say or to offer that expands the universalism of a communist society, right? Which is to say, one that would be achieved in time through processes and events that we could call revolutionary, that we would have to call revolutionary because they would require the abolition of society as it currently is. That when we demand society be rearranged in certain ways, this is a part of the project.
As well as a roadmap for undoing white womanhood and the destructiveness it causes. Mm-hmm. And I love that, this idea of undoing white womanhood and the destructiveness it causes. Can you unpack that a little bit?
Yeah. I mean, I think there are so many ways that we who are raised to be white women in this culture have all these kind of structures built around us that are geared for our comfort, our reassurance, our feeling safe in society.
Again, our revisions were really rooted in trying to create this inclusive puberty health education curriculum that is aligned with our own policy related to equity as well as COMAR. And there's really 5 pillars that we've used as a foundation, and these pillars come from research from the leading organizations related to inclusive puberty health education. And the first one is to provide that foundation of gender literacy. And in that, we need to stop the practice of separating students based upon assumed gender. Gender literacy also provides students with that foundation to understand puberty and human growth and development in a manner that creates understanding and comfort with the individual pathways, as well as we know that there's a variety of pathways that they may be experienced by their peers. In our revised lessons, rooted in our development was to try to distinguish patterns from rules. For example, we know that students, even at very young children, can see that many gender stereotypes are not true for themselves or classmates. So we try to disrupt that for our students and start to think about how gender might be influenced from society. We know that if educators only share examples of gender and physiology that are consistent with assumed patterns, it's easy for students to conclude that those patterns are rules. However, when differences are discussed without judgment, students are given the opportunity to recognize themselves and everyone around them as natural parts of that human diversity. As part of our revisions, we are also seeking to emphasize physiology rather than gender. So you'll see in our revisions, we'll say a person with a penis, a person with a vulva, rather than attaching a assumed gender with a body part. So we focus on the function as opposed to connecting those parts to a particular gender.
Good evening. My name is Alicia Harris, and I have taught social studies in our district for 23 years, the last 17 here at Crescenta Valley High School. I happen to be sitting in my classroom, proudly holding a copy of White Fragility, as it turns out. It's excellent. Chapter 11 on white women's tears, nothing like what was just discussed. I digress.
Nervous?
Yes.
How come? Do I look scary? Do you know what I am? No? I'm a drag queen. Have you ever heard of a drag queen before? No?
What is a drag queen?
A drag queen is someone who expresses themselves creatively through performance. So dress up in wild costumes, big wigs, crazy makeup, and then get on stage and perform and entertain people. I'm a boy.
Oh.
I'm a boy.
Wait, what?
You didn't think I was a boy?
I've been thinking.
You thought I was a girl?
I've been thinking
No, I'm a boy.
Do you always dress up as a girl?
Not always, only when I'm performing. I usually live most of my life in jeans and a t-shirt and a backwards ball cap. Anybody can do drag. Drag is for anybody and everybody who wants to put on a fun costume and get up on stage and entertain people. Everybody should try drag at least once. It's really fun.
Even kids?
Yeah, there's actually quite a few kids that are starting to do drag.
Do you ever wish you were a girl?
I don't. I like being a boy, but I enjoy dressing up like a girl. It's really fun. Anybody can do anything they want. If they want to wear a dress, that's fine.